We're going to continue on the section on Noach, page 147, Bereshit Yud Genesis 11, Pasuk Kafav 26. Vayechi Terach, and he lived Terach. Number one, this is with a tipcha, so this is going to refer backwards to what's happened before, and it's going to be slightly separated from what's going to come afterwards. Terach, having contacted Noach on frequent occasions, and he lived Terach moderately by considerations of the past, before and after the flood. He tried to avoid extremes, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark, and by the extension sign, Samech Hemshech.
So what note is that in Terach? I can't see it.
It's a tipcha.
Yeah, it's hard to.
So we're now coming sort of to the end of this, the lineage from Noach and going on, and we see all of a sudden with almost the last person, we're going back to the beginning. Terach, tipcha, and the tipcha takes us all the way back to Noach. If we look on the next page, we have a table of when everybody lived, and we will notice that Noach is still alive when Terach is alive. So he does have direct influence from him, and there is some influence on Terach not to do some of the extreme things that some of the others up until now have done, and to try to learn a little bit from what Noach might be teaching. Shiv'im, 70, with a munach. So this is going to be separate from what's come from before and move us forward into what's going to go afterwards. Number two, for 70 years, he kept developing new ideas, although practically he was still immersed in old concepts, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. And again, this is a little bit difficult for us to understand. We see that we've been using the munach a little bit differently in the last couple of sentences, in that this is not a clear separation from what's happened before, although it is a clear separation from what the last 2 or 3 generations before have been doing, in that he is going back to the original concepts and principles that Noach gave. So I'm feeling that there is a holdover influence of the tipcha onto the munach here. So in the context of the tipcha, the munach is a separation, in that it is a separation from the last couple of generations, but it is certainly so different from them, but still related to the older concepts that Terach was espousing. Is when you have 2 words that have one note, you see the little dash in between them. Right. So Terach's living. So when we've been going through the last couple of generations, each of the words are usually separated out. Vayechi usually gets its own note, pretty well for all of the ones up except for Peleg and Aver. So we're coming back to many generations before, when they had this structure to the beginning of their sentence as well, because all of the other ones have an actual note on the word Vayechi. So that's another reason why we're saying we're going back to older concepts.
So this throwback, so you mean by Noach, it had also 2 words with one note?
It is definitely there by Peleg. It's there by Aver.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to Noach. It's there by Shem.
So you're saying at least it's a throwback. Oh, okay.
So it's there by Shem.
Yeah, okay.
So I it's there with Noach also. Vayechi Noach is a tipcha. Shana, number 3, year, I should say, with the stabilizing at Nachta. However, at the end of that period, Terach believed to be a suitable position in his life to make it that year a decisive conclusion, as shown by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So after he had lived for 70 years, he had explored the knowledge that he wanted to convey enough that he felt that he could proceed forward and use that as his base to pass on. Vayoled, and he produced with a pashta. So this is going to accent the word and move us forward to what's going to go afterwards. And
Isn't it two pashta?
when we have a pashta, it always comes at the end of the word. However, if the last syllable in the word is not the one that is accented, there is a second pashta that's put over the accented syllable. So if it was vayoled, then you would only have one pashta. But the word is pronounced vayoled, so therefore you need a second pashta over the yud.
But no, singing-wise it sounds different?
Singing-wise, the accented syllable is different, but the intonation of the note is the same. It's just you're changing the accented syllable.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Number 4, the result of the decision of that time was not only responsible for a new conclusion, and he produced a subject of biological progression, but he also brought on earth a new heavenly quality of spirit. Behibaram. This is these are the story of the heavens and the earth as they were created. So this is the second chapter of Reshit. So Toldot Haaretz, Hashemayim va'aretz behibaram, as they are created, and we're using those same words, those letters, and we're twisting them around. Be'avraham. So he is bringing that back into the world, and it's stressed by the shapes of the double directional shape of the reading mark. So because this is a double Shnei Pashtot is a double pashta, we feel that he is taking something that was there originally and he is bringing it to move forward from there. Et Avram, with a katon. This is again a two-part note with a pause afterwards. With Avram, creation became meaningful, and the earth received a status to be an extension of heaven, as pointed by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So, because Avram is going to give the world a renewed belief in Hashem and an ability to make a correction for what the 10 generations before the flood had done, the concept of the earth and creation sort of meeting each other it comes to fruition with Avram, and you get again the two dots, one being higher and one being lower. So you have heaven being brought down to earth with Avram's birth, and hence he gets that two-part note with one dot directly above the other. Et Nachor, with a tifcha. This is going to go backwards to what's come from before and pause slightly afterwards. Simultaneously with Nachor was born a later physical completion for Isaac and Jacob, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, as we know, Isaac and Jacob are going to marry are going to marry women who come from the line of Nachor. So they complete the concept of what Avram is going to do, and that is why we refer backwards and we pause after that.
So they think this is a foreshadowing, sort of, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Did
So
we ever
that's why
figure
it
out why
has a
Nachor is called
tifcha.
Nachor, did we? Remember we said
Nachor
like
has
snoring?
Noach's name in it too.
That's true.
Noach.
And Haran also is a jumble of Haran.
Mm-hmm.
But remember we said Nachor in modern, I don't know if it's modern Hebrew to snore, but
Yeah,
did we ever, we said we were going to check that out?
I couldn't find any reference to Nachor.
It's a
and
weird
snoring.
name if it means snoring. Okay.
Viet Haran, and with Haran, with the Sof Pasuk, so this is going to be stabilizing, and with Haran was provided a source of future wives for Abraham and for Nachor. So Haran's
Because Lot is Haran's
mhm.
kid.
So Haran's progeny
And-
is,
and Sarah.
is there and part of the ability to stabilize the world, but it's not directly there in the lineage that is going to become the people of Israel.
Sarai is one of the matriarchs. What do you mean?
Um,
Haran is the father of Lot and Sarah. Right?
So, again, it's a completion, but it's a completion at a different level. It's a completion at a level that is not going to uniquely become the Jewish people.
So
So-
who is the who?
From Yaakov on, you uniquely become the Jewish people.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So that's why he gets the slight separation.
So how does Haran have to do with Yaakov?
Bar.
Because
Nothing. That's why he gets a separation that from
Oh, and Nahor is more like you,
because
because-
after
because Yaakov's more
Nahor and
from Nahor than
Haran
Haran.
still stabilizes the world, still provides very very useful people into the world, but not on a different level of importance perhaps. And we have a remark in this sentence. The Torah draws a parallel not only between Noach and Terach by similar expressions, and we're going to go back to 532.
That's already Bereshit.
Way back. In
You want to do jumble. Terah is a jumble of Charut, which is Charut al-Luchot, which
Cherut.
Cherut.
Freedom.
Charut al-Luchot engraved on the, Al-Tikra Cherut Charut is also that you're engraved in the Luchot, when they're describing Luchot. Don't read, it's a Ktiv in Crete, they say don't read engraved on the Luchot, read Cherut, the ultimate freedom is putting yourself into it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
And really the only similarity in expression that I found is in the two sentences the fact that they're having 3 children and all 3 children get a mention. So I'm not quite sure what else he's saying is a parallel expression to 532.
Oh, was Hashem coming out of it? What are you comparing?
Vayechi Noach with a zaket gadol ben 500 me'achat tivcha shana with an etnachta vayoled Noach zaket katon et shem tivcha v'yadcham mercha v'yatyafet sof pasuk. So I'm not quite sure
This whole pasuk
why we're
compared
saying there is similar expressions. The only thing that I could find similar is that they mention all three sons. But
it's
compares
very
them also by contrast to Adam, Noach, Abraham, Cain, Hevel, and correspond with Ham and Shem, with Nahor and Abraham, with Ishmael and Isaac, with Isaac and Jacob, with Esav and Jacob. Moreover, just like Noach was the 10th generation after Adam, so was Abraham in the same position after Noach and Shem. So. We draw similarities between positions and generations, but again, I'm not, because this is a side remark. It doesn't fit with what the rest of the parish is saying. So this is more derived obviously from a midrash or from learning elsewhere. And yet another remark. By this tabulation, it becomes evident that Metushelach, Noah's grandfather, knew Adam for 243 years, and Lemech, Noah's father, knew him also for 46 years. Both met the authentic Adam, who transferred important information to them about creation, along with past and future details. Metushelach was close to Noah for nearly 600 years, dying shortly before the flood, while Lemech died 5 years earlier. Noah received all the particulars from Adam through the narrations of his father and Metushelach, Noah's grandfather. In this way, Noah obtained the messages and experiences from selective first-hand informations by the original Adam before becoming himself the new Adam. So
you're saying that Noach became the new Adam, because there was 2
Because-
Adams in Bereshit.
No, but that's the
okay,
person.
so this is different.
That's what it was.
Of course it is.
So each of them become
Talking about
a root
Yeah.
from which the world goes out.
Can you correct her what she thinks she said? There's not two Adams.
No.
You're talking about Adam 1, Adam 2,
Yeah.
Solomon.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but that's not.
That's
That
from
doesn't mean a different Adam.
From Perek Aleph and Perek Beis.
It's a different recounting of the same.
Adam Rishon.
Well, he had another wife,
Lilith.
before.
No, but that's not with two Adams.
Okay.
We're going to continue on. In the next 2 pages, we have the table of when everybody lived and how those numbers are calculated
Are you
out.
going to
So-
say
And sorry,
Are you going to recite the?
I don't. We're still working on this sentence because we've got more notes on it on the next page, and then we will read through the sentence. So from the table, we see some facts. Noach knew Abraham for 58 years. Noach, being a just man and prophet from before the flood, found a spiritual resonance in Abraham and knew what he represented. It is conceivable to assume that Noach revealed to Abraham authentic secrets and information received from Adam, and they were transferred to all forefathers, i.e., Joseph, Lecha, Moses, through to the Baalei Mesorah, via the Tamei Mikra to the Kabbalah. In the wording of the Gemara, Sham Ra'ah, Metushelach Yaakov, and Metushelach Ra'ah Adam. And again, I'm not quite sure the reference here. I tried to figure out what hey Rach with an apostrophe, which Gemara it's referring to.
Horayot.
Oh.
Well, there's no
I
other
couldn't
one.
find 2:121:2. I couldn't find. So I will try again.
There's only one second that could be Horayot. Horayot. But what's interesting? Oh, you're not on the chart yet.
No,
we're
introduction,
talking
page
about
150.
things that you can learn from the chart.
150.
Right here. In here.
Right, but
That's where we.
right, but look
So
at
what
the
we're
chart.
basically saying is that there is near direct Masorah. So one person telling another person who told another person. So from Adam Arishon, the knowledge that came to Avram only had to pass through a very small
I know, it's
number
amazing.
of hands and minds.
But wait a minute, according to this chart, like the page on the chart page, which I don't know why you didn't do the 2 pages opposite, so you can see, but anyway, I think that's a mistake. This one should be on top if you're looking at it.
Anyways.
No, but that's the point. But I hate that camera and everything. Okay, Adam, according to this, how long did he overlap with Noah? 'Cause it almost looks like it's almost the day.
Very close.
Very close. Then Noah would have heard it directly from Adam. That would have been right. Look how close it looks on
So
that.
Noach did not hear directly from.
But very, very close. It could have been on his deathbed.
Metushelach got it from Adam, and Noach got it from Metushelach.
Right. So that's pretty. Yeah. Well, Metushelach.
And you can see there's lots of overlap between Adam Metushelach and Noach Metushelach.
Right. It just seems a shame that Noach didn't live there. No, and Metushelach just lived. You know, they have a thing that his shiva was. That's why the Metushelach was a tzaddik. He didn't want Metushelach to see the flood, so. It says, but we did that probably. We did that, you know.
That the flood
The
was
7 days it came after
delayed
Shiva.
for 7 days.
In difference.
Yeah,
But
we
you
can
don't
get to
do
the
the
last comment there. Shem and Aver knew and were in charge of the spiritual guidance and education of the forefathers. So we have many midrashic references to the forefathers going to the school of Shem and Aver. Kisham nishba'u shnehem. Abraham et Beno, Yaakov et Vayakod et Ki nishba'u shnehem instead of Ki nishba'u shnehem.
Where's that from? Yishba'u Shnehem. Where's that from?
That is from Be'er Sheva.
From Beersheba?
When he makes
When
the
Avram
peace
makes
treaty.
a peace treaty with Abimelech.
Right. Okay.
That's the first land for Jews.
Right, and that was a big. I have a great tape on that in Hebrew. Fantastic. I love
And he
it.
said, why don't you be honest? Like, and when he
The one with Abraham didn't
when
work.
he filled in
and
all
one-
the wells, and he says, why don't you be honest?
No, but there's 2 big. It's a great thing.
To read, yeah, the wording.
But just while you're pausing, I want to thank Vic and Sue for being the children of Mr. Mareh Yaakov, because without them we wouldn't be doing this.
think we're on tape. Just
That's okay.
And them too. Okay, the other brothers also. So I thank them too. But they're not getting food. I just want to stress that.
So, what we're trying to say with this comment, I think, is the connection between original knowledge and generations going forward is very strong and very direct. And that's sort of what we're trying to say, is the number of years that these original influences are still around, that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are still around, so they can get knowledge that is as close to first hand as it could be. So second hand, if you will.
Considering this is 2,000 years.
So philosophically, we will perhaps deal later with the question of why it's second hand, not first hand. But suffice it to say that if the knowledge wasn't listened to firsthand, then you have the ability to use your intellect and to decide whether you're going to accept the first-hand information or not. And once it is when you are in front of somebody who says, "I know because I saw it," then you believe it just because you believe the other person. When you come to knowledge that's second-hand, "I know because he told me and I trust him," all of a sudden you have to build a chain of belief that goes backwards. So that is why both Noach and Abraham need knowledge that is passed on to them secondhand. Because if they had it firsthand, then it would not be their belief in the knowledge necessarily, it would be their belief in the person who told them. So we have this slight separation in the Masorah in order to say that the belief is in the knowledge and not in the giver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to
Which is stronger?
there's a question of weakness of your belief if you just believe in the person who told you and not in actually what he's saying. So you believe in the middleman, not in the original knowledge. Once it's come down through generations, then you have to believe in the knowledge, because you don't have direct knowledge of the person who knew the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know the original source. So you have to believe in the knowledge, not in the source.
You're saying that's strong. No, but I think
so that is
stronger.
That
you
is
think first-hand account is stronger.
No.
So the question is, we have 600,000 Jews who had direct knowledge.
Right. 3 million, by the way.
Okay, and anywhere 3 to 15 million Jews who had direct knowledge at Sinai, and yet we still have the faith now.
Right.
We believe because they told someone who told someone who told someone. And what we're saying is, we don't believe necessarily, with the exception of Moshe, that there is any one of the other people who stood at Sinai who is a direct influence on us. So we believe in Moshe's transmission only because of his anavut, because of his great level of modesty that took all of himself out of anything that he conveyed, and that's the only reason he gets that special level of nivuah. That when you mentioned the Rambam's 13 principles, you mentioned, I believe in all the Nevi'im and I believe in Moshe. They're two separate articles.
Yeah.
Why? Because Moshe's reception is different. It is something that has none of his own personality in it.
Now, I thought are you comparing? Okay, let's say the people that were at Sinai, the 3 million people, as opposed to us. So
we don't believe because of.
We saw it directly.
Because we believe in. In Fred, who was there at Mount Sinai. We believe because we believe in the chain of transmission, and the chain of transmission tells us that the knowledge has to be there and has to be true, regardless of who the giver of the knowledge, or who the transmitter of the knowledge was. So we don't believe in the middleman, we believe in the original.
So does that
Otherwise,
help-
we might be misconstruing the information and just believe in the middleman, which is always a concern, and that is one of the reasons why we're called Yisrael, Yashar Kel. We go straight to God. We can see around the corner. We can see that this happened and this happened and this happened, and you can't see the source from here to there because there are so many curves. But we can go Yashar. We can go straight because we can learn that we can ignore all the curves and bends and see where it came from originally.
I'm missing something, but I'm intimidated by this camera, so I don't feel like
So-
reaching
so does-
fast.
So does it highlight-
You're talking about
I'm not talking about it, but we still,
well,
it's still a transmission thing, no?
It's
transmission,
no, you don't have to. You don't have to. You have to have belief in the honesty and the capability of those people who transmit, but
Right.
you don't have to believe in them.
Yes, well,
You have to. You have to believe in the original
Public
knowledge and just in their
but the
in their honesty to it, but not in them themselves.
I'm missing something. I'll ask
Okay.
her later. This is going
Sue, do you have a question?
Yeah, so does that sort of highlight the importance of the spiritual appreciation of experience versus the historical account? That is, a historical account is, you saw it, you report it. If it comes through the generations, what's distilled from it and remains is the impression and the importance of
Is the
spiritual...
impression and the essence.
And the essence, exactly.
So you
The
see the
essence.
truth of the essence, not the truth
Of
of
that
the,
has
the truth.
survived.
Right.
Right.
That's why, again, we see from the chart that both Noach and Avram don't get direct exposure to a source, because then they would make that source a false god, if you will.
Do we have any sense of what this knowledge was, or what some of the messages were?
So, I mean, there are lots of comments on, what did Yaakov learn for 14 years in the yeshiva of Shem and Evan, and it seems that he learned the way to predict the natural order of things. The way that the world is set up, and the ability to read signs that will tell you how to get within the inner workings of nature, if you will, and to be able to both predict and use those as a tool.
This is more the
Separate
physics of laws of nature?
the physics of the laws of nature and the exceptions to the physics. But we don't praise Shem and Ever as good transmitters of faith in God, because they just believed in the knowledge. They didn't believe in themselves. They didn't necessarily transmit that idea that you can go one step back and look at the Creator from behind that. So Yaakov went there, and then he still maintained what Yitzchak had given him. So that was something different, but he needed that too. So we're going to read the sentence. We're back on page 147 again all of a sudden. And when we read through the sentence, we'll notice, especially in the second half of the sentence, that Vayoled et Avram, and then we're going to pause, because Avram gives a great contribution, at Nahor, who gives a medium contribution, another pause, at Haran, and Haran, who gives another level of contribution that's more general, that doesn't only go to the people of Israel. Vayechi terach shivim shana vayoled et Avram et Nahor v'et Haran. We are on page 150, 1127.
We're not going to finish tonight, are we?
We're going to make an effort to finish tonight.
Well, we should
If
have
we
wrote it
don't
down.
finish tonight, then
It'll be my fault,
we
I'm
won't
sure.
finish tonight. It will absolutely not be your fault. It will be
Now you
because
talk
we
about
are
that's on tape.
trying. That is on tape. Nothing that has happened here is Alan's fault, except for we're going to give Alan the acknowledgement for suggesting
Oh, please.
and trying to look and find for someone to actually teach this
Oh.
course, and being the original recommender
competition.
of
Okay, already. Now you're okay.
Okay.
Okay, you're
You-
being sarcastic.
Okay,
I am not in any way
Okay,
being
I got you.
I'm not in any way being
I can
sarcastic.
accept the compliment.
I am
I can demand the compliment.
I'm giving hakarat tatzah.
Oh, okay.
Ve'ela, and those for the pashta. So again, these are two pashtaot because we're going to accent the syllable, the aleph syllable, not the hey syllable.
So is that always like always
Pashta
either one?
always comes on the last syllable of the word. If the accented syllable is not the last syllable,